Tuesday, the 16th of May. Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's your Frontier Opening Bell. I am Bosin Amafaye. Just a quick rundown through the markets we cover for you on a daily basis. We saw a bit of bargain hunting on Access Core. GT Bank, we saw upside of about 0.64% on Zenith Bank in the Nigerian market, that was. And of course, Lafarge Africa as well. Just a bit of that. The market went to about 10 billion naira. Just a very small size to start the week, 0.03%. Just to show on the day that the Debt Management Office rolled out the FGN primary market bond auction, and the market liquidity went really tight. So we saw overnight money among commercial banks in Nigeria just around 14%. But let's look at the BRVM down below, again below the 200 index reading for the composite by 2.16%, a very deep haircut, 1.34%. The EGX, the Egyptian stock market, down for the second day of the week. Sunday, 1.28% red, 1.34% also in the negative territory on Monday, 0.58% for the Nairobi stock market, 93.04. Safaricom, the largest listed company on the Nairobi market, continued to drag the rest of the bourse. And in South Africa, the GSE fell by 1.34%. So let's look at the top stories from East Africa. Moody's placing Kenya's sovereign ratings on review for possible downgrade, despite talks that the William Ruto's administration will be able to secure a funding window from the World Bank, while talks ongoing with the International Monetary Fund. The World Bank, however, wants 35% stake rule on mining firms dropped in Kenya as part of the conditions for supporting President William Ruto's administration with some funding. And Vodacom of Tanzania says it's rebound with about 44.6 billion annual net profit. That's the earnings that came in towards the end of last week. And China, as well as India, dominating investment in Rwanda despite the European Union wooing the East African country, and that's according to the Rwanda's Development Board. Let's check in with West Africa. The Nigerian Exchange Limited yesterday issued a circular asking all investors to abide by rules regarding off-the-market or off-the-floor transactions. The comments come on the back of what we saw recently in terms of big-ticket transactions off the floor, in terms of mopping up of shares between some of the biggest billionaires in the country, and that the NGX says everyone has to abide by the rules of the market, ensuring that every information about trading in shares and moving big transactions has to be duly reported to provide for transparent and a level playing field in the Nigerian market. And as inflation, however, came in yesterday, 22.22%, very stubborn. All eyes now on the Central Bank Monetary Policy Rate Setting meeting decision, which is expected next week. Unlisted Hartley Supermarket and Stores has been admitted. Its borrowing papers has been admitted to FMDQ. About 5 billion naira is what the unlisted supermarket, which has iconic brand for highbrow, high-level, mid-level shoppers in Lagos and other parts of the country. And Access Bank has birthed its new subsidiary in Paris, France, focusing on Francophone countries in West Africa in terms of trade financing as well as other support. Ghana is expected to draw about $600 million from the $3 billion IMF after a board of IMF meeting, which is expected by the end of this week. And the appetite for Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire's papers are strong, even as we have countries such as Niger Republic and Burkina Faso also shopping in the West African Monetary Union financial market for budgetary support. All that in the news in West Africa. Let's bring Southern Africa into the conversation. The Zambian President Hichilema has been to France and is stopped over in London at the Invest Africa Forum to talk about trade investment on the continent. He also touched on debt as well as logistics within East and Southern African countries. Quite a very warm presentation made today by President Hichilema, whose country is holding conversations with China and the G20 framework for the country's debt restructuring. In the meantime, President Ramaphosa, as well as the Ukrainian President Zelensky, has held talks according to media reports, to see on whose side does South Africa really stand in terms of support for the Russian war in Ukraine. And the PIC in South Africa says it takes about 40 million rand for half of his stake in Steinhoff and cut 3 chairs and Cotton Run, something close to that. Zimbabwe's arrears, debt resolution process, and all of that were discussed yesterday with the AFDB president, Dr. Akumi Additional, asking for support for the compensation of white farmers in South Africa, and a whole lot of that is the 4th structured debt resolution platform of Zimbabwe that was held on Monday to kick off the new week. In the meantime, Namibia signed a memorandum of understanding with Angola to get some support in terms of how to harvest its hydrocarbon energy. And Vodacom Group of South Africa is cutting dividends to about 6.70 rand because it's doing investments in Egypt as well as in Ethiopia, and investments that is required around its fiber optic operations. Those are your headlines from Southern Africa. Quickly turning into North Africa space, where Egypt's real GDP is expected at 4.1% this year, and that's according to the country's Ministry of Finance. In the meantime, the Financial Regulatory Authority has officially launched the country's first investment fund in gold. Egypt, however, selling about 9.5% stake in Telecom Egypt. That's about $12 million deal into Telecom Egypt. And Morocco's SNRT is looking to acquire 66% stake in Medwan Radio. And that's part of the market deal that has been announced north of the continent. That's your Frontier opening bell this Tuesday. Let's get on with the trading day, everyone.